participants from the Mapua University. Ma'am Flor de Liza de Vera, thank you. Thank you for the time, the coordination, and for accommodating the DOE for this. And this is a 2-day virtual symposium in the morning only, starting from today, June 21, and until tomorrow, June 22. So let's enjoy what's in store for us. And as a student, ito yung part na we really would want to learn a lot, to absorb everything we can for the for the symposium. Okay? So let's formally start our virtual symposium with a prayer and with the Philippine national anthem. Okay, it's 9:30. Let's start.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niya, kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng luwalhati pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Ryan. Am I speaking clearly? May merong feedback to our listeners. Is it okay?
Sir, you are loud and clear.
Yeah. So everything is okay now. All clear?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay. So good morning to, of course, everybody. Let me greet the students of Mapua and the members of the faculty and officials of the school, if ever you're there with our students. And we thank the Dean of the College of Engineering for this opportunity given so we could be with your students. Well, let me just divert from, of course, this speech. Let me make it more personal. Alam nyo, we have this activity, of course, because we believe that the students, I was once a student like you, are among those we call the propagandists of the future. Whatever we're doing now will be the ones who will be deciding in the future. And everything that we're doing now is preparatory for the future. When I was a student like you, I was a mechanical engineering student, so I took all those calculus subjects, integral engineering sciences, before I went to law. Because during my generation, the preparatory course to nuclear engineering is the mechanical engineering. So, but unfortunately, when I graduated, the Bataan nuclear power plant was mothballed. Okay, so that was how many years back? The country then embarked on a nuclear energy program, was about to put up a nuclear power plant, or rather operate, because it was already constructed, but it did not push through. But significantly, there were other nuclear power plants that were put up or installed in other countries, like in South Korea, in Slovenia, that's beside Austria, and the one in South America, Brazil. And the main reason then why nuclear power plant was considered was the same situation that is happening right now. We have a problem with oil, and our dependent on oil was unmasked once again. In the 1970s, there was an embargo by the petroleum oil exporting countries in their exports of oil, and the rationing happened in the entire world. The president then, who incidentally was also Ferdinand Marcos, the senior, uh, started the nuclear power or energy program to see to it that we will have other sources of energy. Unfortunately, that is also, of course, the direction right now. And let me mention that countries that embark on nuclear power programs are economically progressive. And incidentally, again, South Korea, which started supposedly was about to start with us, we has now about 21 nuclear power plants. And what's the difference with South Korea and the Philippines? Well, right now, they're exporting and we're buying Hyundai, Kia, Samsung. In other words, it propped up the economy of Korea. But it's never too late. And everything that we do, it's never too late. So we have now in our country, of course, started a nuclear energy program. And it is embarking based on four cornerstones. The policy, which means the government must have a policy to adopt and consider nuclear energy in its nuclear energy mix. And number two, there must be an alignment with international standards. The problems before, like issues on security, safety, security, safeguards, and all other nuclear infrastructure development areas should be well studied, like human capacity, stakeholders' participation, the grid, nuclear radiation, fuel cycle, emergency preparedness, etc. So we must have this alignment with international standards, and that's what we have done in coordination with the International Atomic Energy. And thirdly, in this cornerstone score, of course, is the stakeholders' acceptance. Started with consultation, and that's what we are doing right now. We are reaching out to students among different sectors in the society to see to it that everybody is educated about nuclear. We all get learned, and therefore there will be a learned acceptance of nuclear. This has been an issue in the past. The country became polarized, or was polarized. It became a political issue. So we're seeing to it right now that this will not anymore ripen into a political issue, but would rather be a learned result of people who believe in the cause of nuclear energy. So, and lastly, of course, in the cornerstone is the regulatory framework or the law that will ensure that all these nuclear infrastructure development concerns are duly incorporated, most especially safety. When we say regulatory framework, it has to be passed into law, and that is about what the Congress is about to do this coming term of incoming President Bongbong, to sit down and come out with the law, the regulatory framework, then eventually it will result into a regulatory body. Perhaps it will be named the Philippine Nuclear Commission, which will regulate now nuclear energy, to see to it that all the items of safety are incorporated in the law, are duly processed and duly scrutinized before a nuclear power plant is installed, operated until it's decommissioned. And this project, of course, of reaching out to you, I would like to thank our Human Resource Development team, led by Madam Cecil. There she is with her necklace. beautiful as she is, of course, and assisted by Rael and our nuclear energy program group in the Department of Energy. And this all started through an executive order that was issued by the President of the Republic of the Philippines, President Duterte, the Executive Order 164, which is the inclusion of nuclear energy in the energy mix. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Kasi we are all depending on coal, on other forms of energy, renewable, even fossil diesel, gas. But now we have to, sabi nga nila, we don't put our eggs in one basket. So significantly, that executive order now includes nuclear energy among the sources of energy that we will be utilizing or using. And we would like you to be part of this journey, our journey towards the inclusion of nuclear energy and eventually in the putting up of nuclear power plants in the country based on the framework that was prepared. The students are the leaders of the future. I believe and I see that among you will not only be leaders in the industry, not only be successful professionals, somehow, somewhere along the way, some will become leaders of the country and will form part of the policy-making teams of the Republic of the Philippines. So I welcome you to this journey. I welcome you to this quest, given the opportunity to push the nuclear energy program. I challenge you to study it very carefully and be part of it, be part of a successful future, be part of all the innovations that we want to institutionalize in this country. Because it is through innovation that we will really get or attain progress, through innovation that our country will be successful, and through innovation that people like you will be able to really go through a program of development and success. So thank you very much. A pleasant good morning to all of you.
Thank you very much, Yusek Jerpi. Thank you for that very inspiring message, sir.
Ano ang picture taking?
Oh, sige sir, walang problema.
Lahat. Parang di sayang yung open there, then we'll have a picture all together.
Yes, may I request everyone to please open your video cams?
Malay mo, mapalabas natin si Jaryo yan. Yan,
As what Yusek has said, kayo po mga students are future leaders of companies and who knows of this country. Kaya sa kanya yung uuwi na narinig. So, requesting everyone to open their camera. Yun naman pala eh.
Malalaman natin kung sino natutulog.
Sir, mukhang mga leader nga ito mga to. So, screenshot po tayo for the first frame. Smile everyone. Okay. Isa pa. Para kasama siya siguro. Smile, screenshot. Okay. And I just have
Yan, meron pa?
Yes, sir. Yung second frame, sila Miss Camacho. Okay, screenshot everyone. One more. Okay. And there's one more batch. Ano na napitin ko. Sorry, sir. One more batch. Sila Miss
Mamaya.
Mia King.
Alam nyo to, ebidensya na totoo tayo kita. Kita tayo. Somewhere in our lifetime, we were all together at one point, although virtually.
Virtually, correct, sir. Okay, we're done, Yusek. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good luck to everybody. Thank you.
Yusek, thank you. I know you're very busy. Thank you for taking your time to join this virtual interview. Thank you for your words of encouragement for everyone. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our chairman for the NEPIO DOE Undersecretary Ergiza, Yusek Jerpy Ergiza. Okay, so let's start the ball rolling. Let's begin with our first session. Okay ba kayo dyan? Our first session is entitled Steering the Academe Towards Careers in Nuclear Industry. Our first speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is a graduate of BS Psychology from St. Scholastica's College in Manila. She finished cum laude and also took up a master's in business administration from the International Academy of Management and Economics. Our speaker is currently the HR head of the Human Resource Management Division of the Department of Energy and a co-chair of the Nuclear Energy Program Implementing Organization Technical Working Group for HR. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to present to you one of the kindest human beings I've known. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause, please, for Miss Maria Cecilia Baldos. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
We're loud and clear, ma'am.
Thank you, Lael, for that very nice introduction. And of course, thank you to Yusek Jerpy for gracing our symposium for today. Welcome everyone and good morning. One of your alumna, our employee from the General Services Division, our chief for the GST, is sending his regards, and he actually said to greet you all with Viva Mapua. Okay, at this point, I would like to make a presentation on the status of plan for human resource development for nuclear power program, introduction and operation. Again, my name is Cecil Baldos. I am the co-chair of the HRD Technical Working Group of the DOE NEPIO, as well as the chief of the Human Resource Division. Okay, just to start, okay. The Department of Energy adopts the milestone approach of the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, in the development of a national infrastructure for nuclear power to assist countries that are considering or planning their first nuclear power plant, and to help member states understand the commitments and obligations associated in developing an NPP. The IAEA has actually identified 3 milestone approach considering the various infrastructure issues in the development of a nuclear power plant. Okay, first milestone would include or refer to the readiness to make a knowledgeable commitment to a nuclear power program. The second milestone would be the readiness to invite bids and negotiate a contract for the first nuclear power plant. And the third milestone would be the readiness to commission and operate the first nuclear power plant. Actually, the third milestone provides countries with existing nuclear power plants an opportunity to assess their preparedness for expansion. Following the 3 milestone approach, the IAEA also identified 3 distinct phases in the development of various infrastructure areas. Okay, phase 1 would have the considerations before a decision to launch a nuclear power program is taken. Usually, this first phase would include the conduct of pre-feasibility studies to help establish a strong national position considering the 19 infrastructure issues. Okay, usually the question whether to go nuclear as an option in the energy strategy is being made at this point. The second phase would actually refer to building a sufficient national infrastructure to prepare the country for issuing a bid for the nuclear power plant. And then finally, phase 3 would actually go to the actual activities for implementation in the building of a nuclear power plant. Each of the phases would require specific actions during each of the stages of development. For example, relating to the construction of a nuclear power plant project, the first phase would actually include pre-project activities, while the second phase would include project development, and the third phase would include final investment decision, contracting, and construction. The ensuing stages would include commissioning, operation, and decommissioning of the nuclear power plant. Just to give you an idea, from the inception alone and trying to build the national position and embark on the construction of a nuclear power plant would take about 10 to 15 years up to the actual operation of a nuclear power plant. The milestones approach of the IAEA includes 19 infrastructure issues. Just to give you a rundown of this, okay, number 1, we have national position. Number 2, nuclear safety. Number 3, management, funding and financing, legal framework, and safeguards. Next, we have radiation protection, regulatory framework, electrical grid, human resource development, stakeholder involvement, site and supporting facilities, and environmental protection. Next, we have emergency planning, nuclear security, nuclear fuel cycle, radioactive waste management, industrial involvement, and finally, procurement. Please note that the order in which these 19 infrastructure areas are presented does not imply relative importance. All of them are important and would require appropriate attention. Okay. With the IAEA's milestone approach, the DOE NEPIO was created in October 2016 by virtue of the DOE Department Order 2016-10-0013. The Philippine Nuclear Energy Program Implementing Organization has the following mandate: to be the lead in the unified and coordinated efforts and activities relative to the conduct of various studies and research on nuclear energy development in the country. The DOE NEPIO is composed of the following. Of course, we have our chair, Yusek Gerardo Ergiza, who gave us the opening remark. The NEPIO steering committee should be composed of DOE officials led by an undersecretary and assistant secretary. The members include the bureaus and service directors who shall have the overall responsibility to supervise, operationalize, and implement the priority activities of the NEPIO. Just to give you an idea, the various services and bureaus have been assigned specific infrastructure areas which they will handle. For example, the Energy Research and Testing Laboratory Services have been assigned nuclear safety, radiation protection, nuclear fuel cycle, and radioactive wastes. The Admin Services is assigned the Human Resource Development. The Legal Services is assigned the Legislative Framework and Regulatory Framework. While the Energy Policy and Planning Bureau would handle the national position, management, stakeholder involvement, environmental protection, and industrial involvement. The EPPB or the Policy and Planning Bureau, together with the Financial Service, will be handling the funding and financing areas. The Electric Power Industry Management Bureau or the EPIMB will handle the electrical grid, and then the Energy Resource Development Bureau, together with the Information Technology Management Service, handle the site and supporting facilities, nuclear minerals and resource assessment, and procurement. Likewise, the Energy Resource Development Bureau, together with the Energy Research and Testing Laboratory Service, will be handling the emergency planning, security, and physical protection. I would like to present the composition of the Human Resource Technical Working Group. This is actually the group handling the activity we're having right now. Our group is chaired by the Director of the Administrative Services, Director Pacifico A. Avenido Jr. I co-chair the said group as the Chief of the Human Resource Division. And then our members include Ms. Salve Orsine, Mr. Israel Santos, our moderator for today's activity, Ms. Kathleen Regala, Ms. Daisy Ragini, Ms. Nida Zabala, and Ms. Elizabeth Volante, all of whom are members of the Human Resource Management Division. Our functions consist of the following. The Administrative Service shall undertake relevant studies and attend to specific concerns on the development of a nuclear power program, specifically on human resource development. The study shall come up with a human resource plan to ensure the availability of the following: highly skilled professionals, competent individuals, and skilled workers for the safe, efficient, and reliable operations of a nuclear power plant, as its operations require the most advanced and technology-specific skills of the industry. The IAEA conducted an integrated nuclear infrastructure review, or we call it the INIR mission, in December 2018. The mission is aimed to help these member states determine the status and identify further development needs. It is supposed to guide the DOE NEPIO in coming up with an action plan which will help develop the nuclear infrastructures. Prior to the INIR mission, we also submitted a self-evaluation report for the assessment of infrastructure development of nuclear power program to the IAEA. The human resource development was one of the 19 infrastructure issues in the INIR report. In the INIR Phase 1, The recommendation was for the DOE NEPIO to develop an effective work plan for each key organization, industry, and HRD plan for the enhancement of national education and training infrastructure and to ensure the availability of trained manpower for the NEPIO. I'm showing right now the HR roadmap, which should serve as guide for the various groups and stakeholders on the HR strategy for the establishment of nuclear power program. Okay, we have actually divided the stages into short-term, medium-term, and long-term activities or programs for the human resource development. For the short-term program, we have the assessment of HRD needs in 19 infrastructure areas. Our completed activities include development of human resource development roadmap for nuclear and the Philippine program on human resource development and workforce planning for the nuclear power program. We also consolidated the training needs profile of the DOE NEPIO to ensure the NEPIO has the necessary competence to identify infrastructure issues needed for an NPP. We also prepared the manpower inventory on nuclear energy program for DOE-attached agencies and other government agencies like the Philippine National Oil Company, National Electrification Administration, Transco, National Power Corporation, Energy Regulatory Commission, Department of Health, PSAM, Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Nuclear Research Institute, among others, in October 2017. The DOE NEPIO also submitted the pre-feasibility study report and self-evaluation report for the 19 infrastructure issues in 2018. Likewise, we participated in the Phase 1 of the Integrated Nuclear Infrastructure Review in December 2018. Still under the short-term activities, we also included the alignment of capacity building for nuclear policymakers, the NEPIO, the technical support organizations or the TSOs, operator, and regulator. Along this line, the NEPIO HRTWG prepared the Leadership Development Program for future leaders in the key organizations in the Philippine Nuclear Power Program in November 2019. Likewise, we prepared the Safety and Security Program for the Philippine Nuclear Power Program in the same year. We also participated in the Legislative Assistance Mission conducted by the IAEA, a bilateral meeting that was participated by the DOE, DOST, PNRI, and members of the Committees on Energy and Science and Technology of the House of the Representatives held in November 2019. We also participated in the IAEA Regional Workshop on challenges and lessons learned to support the decision-making for the nuclear power planning and development held in June 2018. We also participated in the conduct of the National Workshop to inform high-level officials about nuclear law in partnership with PNRI, facilitated by the IAEA in February 2018 to gather support for the passage of a comprehensive nuclear law. We also participated in the National Workshop to inform high-level officials about nuclear law under RAS 0071, providing legislative assistance on establishing and upgrading the legal framework for safe, secure, and peaceful use of the nuclear energy in February 2018. Lastly, we participated in the scientific visits of DOE officials and staff to South Korea's Kori 2 in April 2017. Still under the short-term program, we conducted consultative meetings with relevant agencies and the academia. The NEPIO HRTWG initiated consultative meetings with the academe to explore future partnership in the inclusion of nuclear energy in the curriculum. For example, we had meetings with Mindanao State University, De La Salle University, Ateneo de Manila University, your University Mapua, UST in September 2018, and University of San Carlos in Visayas in October 2020. The HRTWG members also participated in consultation meetings organized by PNRI on the development of nuclear engineering education program in the Philippines with IAEA experts and 10 universities held in June 2018. The NEPU HRTWG member participated in the roundtable discussion on nuclear science education with Director General Yukiya Amano of the IAEA in February 2018. Under the medium-term program, we have identified various activities as well, such as the inclusion of nuclear engineering in university courses. Along this line, NEPIO HRTWG met with the Academy for the Development of Nuclear Engineering education programs with De La Salle University, Ateneo de Manila University, University of Santo Tomas, again Mindanao State University, Iligan Institute of Technology, Mapua University in September 2018, and with the University of San Carlos in the Visayas in October 2020. Still under medium term, we implemented capacity building of policymakers through government funding and technical cooperation with bilateral and multilateral partners. Along this line, we participated in the legislative assistance mission conducted by the IAEA, participated by the Department of Energy, DOST, PNRI, and members of the Committees on Energy and Science and Technology of the House of Representatives in 2019 in Clark, Pampanga, and Manila as well. We also participated in the national workshop to inform high-level officials about nuclear law in providing legislative assistance on establishing and upgrading the legal framework for safe, secure, and peaceful use of nuclear energy. We also participated in the scientific visits in Korea in April 2017. Still under the medium term, we also pursued the activities such as the introduction of nuclear science and technology to secondary schools or elementary education. And then along this line, among the activities we have accomplished is the Memorandum of Agreement between Department of Energy and the Philippine Nuclear Research Institute on the development of instruction educational resource materials on nuclear science and technology for secondary students and science teachers. We also conducted symposium and fora on nuclear energy for students in colleges and universities, such as this. Just to inform you, this is actually the fifth outing of the symposium, the conduct of symposia and fora on nuclear energy. In the past, we've already had symposia in Mindanao State University, Iligan Institute of Technology in September 2019. We also had, in December 2020, a symposium with the University of San Carlos in Visayas. We also conducted a symposium with Ateneo de Manila University in September 2021. And the fourth one was with Oriental Mindoro National High School, which we had in November last year. Okay. Okay, lastly, for the long-term activities, we have actually, the ultimate goal is the integration of nuclear engineering and technology in the collegiate curriculum. So for the activities, we have identified possible launching of a Masters in Science or doctorate degrees in nuclear engineering, and continuous capacity building for the regulators, operators, and technical support organizations of the NEPU. Ultimately, we would like to see a CHED-approved curriculum for nuclear energy. As for our accomplishments and way forward, under the framework of the Memorandum of Agreement between the Department of Energy and the DOST Philippine Nuclear Research Institute on development of instructional education resource materials on nuclear science and technology for secondary students and science teachers, we developed the educational resource materials on nuclear science and technology, which was launched virtually last May 2021. The project aims to increase the knowledge and understanding of students, science educators, and the public on the basic facts and benefits of nuclear science and technology through the dissemination of developed educational materials and modules. The output of this particular project consists of 10 types of booklets covering various topics in the Science Explorer bus, in NST, 10 instructional materials in video format, and 5 modules to be installed in the Science Explorer bus of the DOST Science Education Institute. These nuclear resource materials can also be accessed through the link we have provided here. Okay, just to give you an idea, the 10 booklets would consist of the following. Number 1, radiation around us. Then describing radiation, ionizing radiation and matter. And then the 4th, we have careers in nuclear science and technology. We have nuclear science and energy. And then lastly, we have nuclear science and disaster preparedness. You can actually access this, just to go back, you can actually access these booklets or modules through the link we have shared here. Also, as part of our accomplishments and way forward, we will continue to strengthen partnership with the academe, such as the conduct of symposium on nuclear energy for students in colleges and universities. Just to show you some pictures, this was the virtual nuclear energy symposium we had with the Ateneo de Manila University. And then the one in your right side is the symposium we held with in the Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology in Davao, in Mindanao rather. And then the last slide would be our symposium with University of San Carlos in the Visayas. Okay. Another one of our way forward would be the continue to conduct educational field trips to the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant for secondary students in selected schools. Just to give you an idea, we actually bring students, arrange with each of the schools we have identified and invited to conduct an ocular exposure trip to the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. You just have to inform us if you're interested, and we will gladly arrange it for you to visit the BNPP. For the schools, we've already conducted symposium. Our priority is, our way forward also is to invite them over to visit the BNPP, just to give you an idea of how it looks and what the nuclear power plant can actually provide and service it provides for the Filipino. Okay, the last, just to give you idea as well, the last school we brought to BNPP was UP Integrated School. We also make arrangements for our employees, the new employees of the Department of Energy, for exposure trips to the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. And then finally, we would like to continue to make possible arrangements for the offering of short courses or certificate courses on nuclear energy in selected universities and colleges in collaboration with concerned government agencies. Okay, we would also like to introduce nuclear engineering as a minor or elective course, and then the implementation of the integrated work plan activities for 2021 and beyond, and attendance to relevant training programs related to human resource. So I guess that's about it. I hope I have made you a little bit interested to listen in to the rest of the presentations for today and tomorrow. Thank you very much, and again, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, Ma'am Cecil. Thank you for the talk, for the discussion on how to steering the academy towards careers in nuclear industry. I believe some of our participants have questions. Those who would like to ask for questions. Ma'am says the reason really why we are bringing this to the school is for them to have an option, right, ma'am?
Correct. The reason why we're introducing the nuclear energy is for them to know about it, number one. Number two, to steer the interest of the youth that there actually is a nuclear energy career which they can pursue later on, and then see what we are gearing to and preparing the Philippines towards nuclear energy. Thank you.
And as HR head, we share your desire to really involve the students as far as having them the option of considering a career in nuclear energy. Especially ito po mga participants natin are chemical engineering students.
Yes, correct.
I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our director. He is in the meeting room. He is also the chair of the NEPIO HRTWG, Director Pacifico Abinido Jr. Thank you, sir, for joining.
Rael, just to add, ang balita ko, talagang there are possible lucrative careers in nuclear energy or nuclear engineering abroad, specifically abroad, for those pursuing nuclear power programs for more advanced and progressive countries. So more than the monetary gains for pursuing careers in nuclear energy, syempre yung since we're actually developing a national position towards developing a nuclear program for the country, we will have a more noble reason for doing this. Thank you.
Yes. And of course, our participants are fifth year chemical engineering students. They are graduating soon. Hopefully, would take the board exam and pass the exam. Sana they can consider choosing this career because after graduation, hindi mo alam what you want in your life, yung mga ganong decision. And hopefully, through this virtual symposium, we'll be able to give them an option. Something to think about, something to consider as part of their future now.
Correct.
Director Pacific Abinido Jr., his camera is on. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Would you like to say something, sir?
No, I just like to greet everyone. Pleasant good morning. Thank you very much for attending the symposium. We have been trying to do this to really hype interest in the new field of engineering. You are already in the field of scientific studies and engineering, and we are very sure that you are intrinsically interested in a new field. We are providing you a window, an opportunity to pursue another field of engineering. The future is towards this
be part of the future. And we are vigorously pursuing these activities because aside from the technical and the technological requirements of putting up a nuclear power plant, for example, what is needed most are the people who are technically capable, competent, properly educated, dedicated, exactly you guys represent what you guys represent. So there are a lot of opportunities. We are opening this for you and to you, and we really would be very glad if you are going to pursue this further. Maraming salamat po, and enjoy some more, learn some more, keep your interest high, and we are sure that we are going to support the program as you go along with it. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Director Pecos. So you heard it from our director and from our HR head. There is really an opportunity for a career in nuclear energy. I don't know if there is nuclear engineering now in the Philippines, or is it an elective subject in Mapua, Ma'am Flor? Do we have an elective subject like nuclear engineering?
Yes, sir. We call that as the professional elective track. They have 9 units or 3 courses on nuclear engineering.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Ma'am Flor. And thank you to Mapua for including that elective in the curriculum. So for those who have questions, maybe later we can entertain your questions. But for now, we would like to thank Ma'am Cecil Baldos. Thank you so much for your talk for the first session. And we go now to our second session for today. Our second session is entitled Sources of Energy, Nuclear Energy and How It Fare in the Whole Energy Mix. Yes, our speaker for today is already online. I can see him. I can see her. Hi, ma'am. Our speaker is a graduate of BS Mathematics from the Adamson University, and she is also a graduate of Master of Science in Econometrics, Operations, Research, and Actuarial Studies at the University of Groningen. I hope I pronounced it right. Groningen from the Netherlands. She is currently the Supervising Science Research Specialist at the Policy Formulation and Research Division of the Energy Policy and Planning Bureau of the DOE, and also a focal member of the Nuclear Energy Program Implementing Organization Technical Working Group of the DOE. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to introduce our next speaker, Ma'am Marieta M. Quijada. Ma'am Mariet, good morning. Can you hear me? Ma'am Mariet, you are on mute, ma'am.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you see my screen clearly? Are you seeing the right? Because this is
The right screen.
Yeah, the right screen because this is an extended.
Okay, I can hear you well po. Malinaw naman, ma'am. And tama po ba yung nakikita namin screen?
Yeah, kasi
Sources of nuclear energy.
are you seeing the one that should be the slideshow?
Yes po, malinaw po.
You don't see because this is an extended one. You can see the one with notes and the one which has no notes. So you should see the one with no notes.
Without notes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yes po. We can see the one without notes.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am Mariet,
Yeah.
I'll give you the floor. Take it away, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for attending this symposium. and I'm honored to be one of the resource person of this symposium. Um, Thank you for the nice introduction, and let me start with my presentation now. Hearing the President-elect BBM in his interview in the media, recognizing the importance of energy and the need for a reliable, affordable, and clean energy source, and it stands for nuclear energy, energizes us more to go on with our nuclear program. But the question is, can we really depend on nuclear for a reliable, affordable, and clean energy? Distinguished guests, faculty members, if we have some of them here, and students of Mapua University, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Again, I am Marietta Quijada, a supervising science research specialist of the Department of Energy. I supervise the group handling the formulation of the energy outlook of our country. Today, I will talk about the sources of energy, nuclear, and how it fares in the Philippine energy mix, which includes sources of energy, Philippine energy mix, and the development of nuclear energy program in the Philippines. Now, the last part has been discussed in details by our first speaker, by Ma'am Cecil Balduas, but I will just show you how it was linked to to the topic which was given to me. By the end of this presentation, you'll get to understand the significance of nuclear power as a long-term option to achieve energy security and environmental sustainability. As I mentioned a while ago, I will discuss the following. First, I will discuss the sources of energy. Next, the Philippine energy mix, both current situation and the outlook towards 2040 under the Philippine Energy Plan 2020 to 2040. And third, the development of nuclear power in the Philippines. Now, let us discuss the energy sources and their uses. First, let us look at the reference energy system. So, to give you a background of how the energy system goes, this slide shows how the energy transforms from its raw form to its final use. Let us look at this reference energy system, which exhibits the energy flow from the primary resources, which is this one, the primary resources, to the final use level. So the first column is the final primary energy supply or primary energy sources. On the leftmost side are the country's available energy resources that comprise energy supply such as fossil fuels, oil, coal, and natural gas, and renewable energy. So now this renewable energy includes geothermal, hydro, wind, solar, biomass, and biofuels, which are either domestically produced or indigenous. Now, as you know, we have an indigenous supply of natural gas, which is sourced from Malampaya gas field. And we also have oil supply, but these are not enough to supply our own needs. That's why we import more of what we need than we produce. Some of our indigenous coal, crude, and condensate are exported. The remaining volume of primary energy sources undergoes process like oil refining and power generation to produce secondary energy products such as electricity and refined oil. So as you see, pagdating na sa ating end use, we are no longer using the energy, directly using the energy coming from crude, but the one that is the byproduct of crude, such as diesel, gasoline, which we are using for transport. So towards the right side is the final energy consuming sectors. This one on the last column. Now we see here the household, transport, industrial services, agriculture sectors that uses the energy that are produced from the raw products of energy, which I have discussed previously. Now, let us focus on the power generation, their energy sources, the technology used, and advantages, as well as their advantages. So you can see here in the middle, the power generation, how it is linked to the end use sector, and how it is linked from the raw form. First, let us look at oil and gas power plants. As I've said, let us focus on power generation. It has an advantages and disadvantages. So it has low capital. Oil and gas has low capital cost and high reliability and mature technology. However, it has volatile prices. So like now, we have a skyrocketing prices of oil. Naturally, the price of electricity produced from this power plant will also go high. So, and we also have coal-fired power plants. These are the most mature and coal-burning, most mature coal-burning technology. It is very reliable and easy to operate and maintain. It has low fuel costs and appropriate for base load. And it has also disadvantages. So it has high GHG emission, so and so on. We have also biomass-fed power plants or waste to energy. So, and this comes from different technology like direct fired biomass, from landfill gas power plant, and other things. So these power plants are produced coming from waste. From our waste, from waste from biomass, etc. So it has also, although it has net zero emission, because when you use waste from biomass, you plant, which captures the greenhouse gas emission, but it also produces greenhouse gas emission when you burn it. But since it absorbs when you plant, it becomes a net zero. So we also use wind and solar technologies in the Philippines. So we have the very first one in Ilocos, if you remember that. So wind and solar are technically has no emission, but the disadvantages are it is intermittent, and the solar needs huge area of land. to be able to have a large capacity. So the rule of thumb is 1 megawatt to 1 hectare. So you would imagine how many hectares would be used if we increase our solar capacity. Now this one also, although we have a nuclear power plant, but we are not using it. The previous one, we all have those types of technologies in the Philippines that we are using now. But we have a nuclear power plant, but we are not able to use it. But one of the advantages it has virtually no emissions during operations. And disadvantage is it has a high capital cost, and it has a risk for it has a high political risk. So we are very fortunate now that we see the incoming president-elect, that is, I believe so, who believes also in nuclear power. What is the fuel for nuclear? Of course, it is a nuclear fuel, which is uranium. Uranium is mined and concentrated similarly to many other metals. It is a naturally occurring element with an average concentration of 2.8 parts per million of the Earth's crust. Traces of it occur almost everywhere, and vast amount of uranium also occur in the world's ocean, but in very low concentration. So what do we see here? It means that if we use nuclear, we will not run out of fuel, because there's a vast there is an available vast amount of uranium available in the Earth. So nuclear generation by country. So the first commercial nuclear power stations started operation in 1950s, and nuclear energy now provides about 10% of the world's electricity from about 445 power reactors. Nuclear is the world's second largest source of low carbon power, 29% of which is the 29% is the total contribution in 2018. And over 50 countries utilizes nuclear energy in about 220 research reactors. Now let's go. Now we have seen that all technologies have their own uses, their own advantages, and their own disadvantages. But why do we use them? We use them all, even though they have their own disadvantages. Why? Because they have more advantages than the disadvantages. We can handle those disadvantages. Now let's go on to our energy situation now. This is our energy mix in 2020. So in this slide, we can see the amount of available energy, or what is called the total primary energy supply, or TPES in short, which are used to generate electricity, mobility, process, heat, etc., which has taken into account the impact of COVID-19. Since we are all locked down in 2020, you can see that it has decreased in 2020. Our consumption decreased in 2020 from the level of 2019. So from from 56.4 million tons of oil equivalent in 2019. In 2020, this has it's almost the same level with 2020, which is 56.4 million tons of oil equivalent. Also, from in 2018, it has it's even higher in 2018, which is 59.7 million tons of oil equivalent. So these differ because of the mix we have, because these have the energy mix that we have different, each technologies have different efficiency. So the total primary energy supply depends on the mix that we energy that we use. Now let's look at the policy framework, our policy framework and outlook for 2020 to 2040. So we have this as legal basis for the DOE Act of 1992 to produce a Philippine Energy Plan, which is in Section 5B, develop and update existing Philippine Energy Plan, which shall provide for an integrated and comprehensive exploration, development, utilization, distribution, and conservation of energy resources with preferential bias for environmental friendly, indigenous, and low-cost sources of energy. Our Philippine Energy Plan is anchored on our ambition natin 2040 by our current administration. And we also and also secondly anchored on our 9-point agenda and sustainable development goals, which includes the SDG 7, which is access to energy and clean, affordable energy. This slide shows our total final energy consumption by sector. So we can see in the first column is the 2020 demand, and next one is the 2040. So we see an increase of 5.8% from the 2020 level. For electricity consumption, so let's look at the previous slide first. So here we can see a different sectors, but about 20% of this is consuming. Total electricity consumption is being consumed by this sector. So all of these sectors is using electricity, especially the services sector. So as focusing on electricity consumption, from 2020, our total consumption is 83.24. This is in terawatt hour, and will increase by 6.5% in 2040. So malaki na po ang kakailanganin natin by 2040. So you can see here that services or the household sector, which is the green one, uses a large portion of electricity and also services. So almost the same portion of electricity will be used by different sectors. In terms of supply, in 2020, our power mix uses 57% of coal. So, of course, we don't like this. We want to diversify our mix so that when coal runs out, we still have we can still depend on other sources, and also that as we I have mentioned earlier that we should be using more of clean energy such as renewable energy, nuclear, and other sources of energy that are not emitting much of greenhouse gas emission. So that by in the reference energy, we targeted 35% of renewable energy share. But for a clean energy scenario, we are targeting to have a 50% share of renewable energy. But where is nuclear in this? Can nuclear still be part of this? If we decide so, then it can be part of this clean energy. We only have all the rest is fossil fuels, and the renewable energy portion is 50%. So we still have an opportunity for nuclear power to come in, because we haven't reduced much of our greenhouse gas emission, which is being produced largely by producing power. Now, let us go how this is linked to the development of nuclear power program in the Philippines. Seeing the outlook with robust targets, and yet the results show that clean energy transition is yet to be achieved by 2040. This means that we have to do more to reach a net zero level, although we don't aim to have that yet, because we cannot. We are still dependent on fossil fuel for now. Should this stop us to reach for other clean energy sources that are virtually zero emission, such as nuclear, hydrogen, among others, and among other emerging technologies. With the ongoing conflict of Russia and Ukraine, we see skyrocketing prices of oil. With the sanction on Russian oil and gas export, a prolonged conflict might even put our country vulnerable to supply disruption, despite the fact that we have a minimal importation from Russia. But we are thankful that Russia has said that they can supply us with their energy or with oil. So, what if it is not? Saan natin kukunin yung ating supply? Because we use more than 90% of our oil from imported supply. Then this leads us to discuss the DOE's initiative on the development of nuclear energy program in the Philippines. So our current development on nuclear energy is divided into 4 cornerstones, which includes the infrastructure development. That's 19 infrastructure development, which was already discussed in details by Ma'am Cecil Valdos in her presentation. We just summarize it into 4 cornerstones. First, we have the national policy. We are grateful that we now have the EO 164, which mandates a national position for nuclear energy program and for other purposes. And as it was also said in the opening remarks of our Yusek Ergisa, that we need this legislative framework to go on, so to support our program. So currently now the Congress is now reviewing and amending legal frameworks and providing the regulatory framework and ratification of applicable treaties. So, as we said, that we are committed to secure, and uh, safe and secure and nuclear power should we go for a national decision to really go now for nuclear, because we now have a national policy, which is the EO 164. We hope that our incoming president will continue with this and further enhance our national policy for the nuclear power. And we need this legislative framework and regulatory framework. And we need to align with the international standards. So among the technologies currently available for nuclear power, nuclear power is the one that has an international standard. So we have the IEA as the nuclear watchdog for nuclear. So we are sure that we will be able to peacefully use nuclear power should we continue on and use it and be part of energy mix. And we also have, this is also an important thing, that there is a public awareness and acceptability. And part of the program is educating our students that they need, what they should know about nuclear, and what they should do should we have a nuclear power. So, and looking at the Executive Order 164, series of 2022, as I've said, it is about adopting a national position for nuclear energy program and for other purposes. This was signed by President Duterte in February 28 this year. So the policy declaration for this EO 164 is that on economic side, to ensure reliable, secure, sustainable, quality, and affordable electric supply. For political side, to pursue highest standard of nuclear safety, security, safeguards, including provision of civil liability, and fulfill international treaties and convention agreements. Social aspect, we have contribute to attainment of Ambition Natin 2040, which bring the lives of the people to middle income society. And for the environment, to contribute to mitigate GHG emission and to decarbonize power sector. And the guiding principles is to commits to include nuclear power in the energy mix, to assess and review develop nuclear energy plants using integrated approach, and update feasibility studies in a more detailed study, and engage public and relevant stakeholders. So now you can see that we have to do a lot more things in order for us to go on for nuclear power. So then, this is a multidisciplinary approach. So then, it is not only the engineering students that are needed here. So we need also our legislative sector. So other than engineering students may also contribute to this, towards this attainment. And as many like the other technologies for nuclear power, we also need other other courses for operating the nuclear power, such as the administrative part, administrative and logistic part. So we do not only need this chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, not only engineering. So almost all types of the courses will be needed, just like the conventional power plants that we have now. So I think you already have a background for our BNPP. So let's skip on this one. So the first, let me also inform you about the SWS Public Perception Survey conducted in 2019. The results indicate that nuclear energy should be part of the energy mix. Generally, respondents generally believes that nuclear energy brings more benefit than risks. 79% approval and acceptability for possible use of the BNPP, 65% approval and acceptability of building a new nuclear power plant, and 70% of respondents prefer to source. Yes, source.
Looks like your sound po is not working.
Hello? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
It's clear po from my end.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm almost nearing to the end of my presentation. So this is the result really of the perception survey, and we are happy to see this one. And we hope with these types of virtual symposium that this will we will reach more and more respondents that will learn more and enhance more of this result. So thank you for listening. I'm now open for your question if there are any. Hello? Hello, Israel. Can you hear me?
Maya, thank
yes.
you. Thank you, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can hear you. Loud and clear.
But unfortunately, we can't hear you po.
What about the others po? Can you hear me?
From my end po, I can hear Ma'am Quijada.
Hello. So I think we have a problem with our network here in DOE.
Thank you, Ma'am Maya. So I think there are certain difficult technicalities, but can you hear me, Mr. Kyle Ramos, Ryan Kyle? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear po.
Hello. Is there any question from our participants?
Kyle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly, Rael. I can hear you.
Ma'am Cecil, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, well, good morning again.
So if there are questions, you can type in your questions in the chat room, or you can raise your hand and I'll try to. I hope I could see you and acknowledge you for questions. Especially to those students who are on the nuclear track. Maybe we can hear something from you. Moses, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Um, Dahil I saw one question. Bakit may feedback ako? Okay, what are the common misconceptions on nuclear? I believe si Miss Mayat would be more in a position to answer that because they handled the perception survey.
Yes.
Yeah. Says here, what do you think are the common misconceptions about the nuclear? So, of course, one of the common misconception of nuclear is that it is unsafe.
Yes.
Yes, it is unsafe, as they said. But we as I presented a while ago, that 50 countries have been using this, and very few there are only handful of accidents that happened. Only that it has been magnified because of its impact. Because it has impact. Should we have if there are nuclear accidents, it will impact other as well. But since these are most the accidents that happens are mostly human error, so to say, it can be contained. So one of the things that we can do is to be if ever we go for nuclear, human power is very important. We should be ready for our manpower to operate the nuclear power. They should be knowledgeable on how to use the nuclear power and how to operate. So one is that, and they say one of the misconception also is that it is not environmentally
And
yeah yeah not environmentally acceptable. But as we said, it has a very low emission, and of course yung for the environment, we have done a study before that compared to other sources of energy or technology, it has one of the lowest impact.
Yes.
And if you have other misconception, and for BNPP, one of the misconception is that it is standing in with fault. So for that, we will not and it as it was presented by Ma'am Cecil a while ago, that we have 19 infrastructure to look at if we decide to go for nuclear. So one of these is siting. So we have to look at that carefully. If the site is capable to have a nuclear to house a nuclear power, then it will be um, then we will choose that location. But if it is not, then it is
Then we will look
if
for
it is
another.
yes. So those are the things that we have to look at. So it is not only on the economic side. We look at the economic side. We look at the political side. We look at different areas, environmental areas, and everything. So just like the other technology, we all look at the most
All
important.
sides.
The most important thing here is that we commit for a safe and secure and reliable, safe and secure, and commit to safety standards internationally.
Correct, correct. Yes, thank you, Ma'am Mayet. Hannah May Rodenas, thank you for your question. Now we go to Mr. Ron Dayap, Ron Vincent Dayap, who is raising his hand. Hi, Ron. The floor is yours. What is your question, sir?
Hello, good morning. I have a question. This is with regards to the Bataan nuclear power plant. I've actually visited the site 3 years ago during my senior high school excursion. And I was wondering, based from the data that you have shown us from the energy mix, the human resource development plan, and the public perception survey, would the Bataan nuclear power plant be eyeing a full on operation in a few years, below 10 years, or would it still be further development plans must be further situated before the thought of asking a reoperation of the power plant itself?
Thank you, Ron. Although tomorrow's speakers can also answer that, but I'm sure our speakers today can also answer that question. Ako din yun din ang tanong ko eh. Mamayat?
Yes. Yes. I will answer based on EO 164. Although we have adopted already a national position for nuclear power plant, we still have to decide what technology and not only that, and for the BNPP. We have not yet decided for BNPP. And for the nuclear energy program implementing interagency committee is still in the process of studying whether we can operate the nuclear power or not. And also, even the incoming president said that in his interview that we need to study further for if we can still operate BNPP.
Okay, so we wait for the results of the study and the research. I'm sure government will not allow its use if the studies say otherwise. Tama po ba, ma'am?
Yes, right.
Thank you, Ma'am Mayat. Ron, I hope that Ma'am Mayat was able to answer your question.
Yes, sir, very much.
Thank you, Ron. Next, we have from Mr. Janus Isaiah Kiambao. Good day po. If the Philippines were to adopt nuclear energy and make it a significant part of the energy mix, where would the country source the raw materials, such as uranium? Sa Pluto, joke. Ma'am Mayat, pupunta ba tayo Pluto for the uranium? Saan po, ma'am?
That needs to be decided still, because we don't have yet the national decision. Because when we go to that part in the national decision, we will decide where to get the fuel, where to get the where to source what technology we need, where to source. And currently, the trend now is that when most of the nuclear or vendor for nuclear power also provides for the fuel. But if you will be asking if we will source that in the Philippines, certainly if we will have the nuclear power right now, we cannot because we don't have yet.
We don't have uranium.
No, although we can, they say that we have, but
Mhm.
it is, there's no, well, there's no official, official data yet. If we have, and should we have it, there's a need. That is raw material yet. So we have, the nuclear power needs to use enriched uranium. It's not the raw one. So we still, and we don't have yet the technology.
To make it, to turn
Yes.
it into enriched uranium.
Yes.
So it will be part of the direction coming from the committee or a national position na where to source the raw materials.
Yes. Or the enriched uranium.
For the enriched uranium. So Sir Isaiah, Janus, hopefully that answers your question. So no particular country yet, but we will definitely wait for the decision. Okay,
Rael?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just to add, by the way, thank you to Miss Mayet for answering the questions earlier. Anyway, tama yung sinabi mo kanina na maybe not to preempt yung session natin tomorrow, we will have the experts tomorrow. So sana our students will look forward to attending tomorrow's session because you will get it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, yung mga answers to your other questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We have another question from Mr. Brian Kyle Ramos. Good day po. Ask lang po if there is a possibility na makapag-actual plant visit po kami sa Bataan Nuclear Plant. Wow, sama naman kami dyan sa actual
Okay,
visit.
I'll answer that. Rael. Okay, Kyle, definitely you have a chance to have an actual plant visit sa BNPP. It's just that we're trying to arrange muna one at a time. As I mentioned earlier, medyo natigil kami sa pagpunta sa BNPP and arranging visits because of the COVID pandemic. And sila din yata, they stopped accommodating muna. So included in our priority would be yung the schools or universities where we already had a symposium. And then, as I also mentioned kanina, yung mga new employees namin, we're also arranging for them to visit the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. It's part of their parang sort of welcome in the DOE. So kayo, since we already had a symposium with Mapua, later on we can make arrangements also. We will coordinate with you again so that we can bring you to Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can I respond further to that concern?
Yes, sir.
To our attendees for today's symposium from Mapua, can you show me my image there? Can you project my what I'm? Rael?
Yes, sir. Mamayet, may I request po for your presentation? Yan, sir.
Ito. For the participants asking about the visit to I have here with me right now. It's just with me. I'm reviewing it, which is a letter to Attorney Melchor Ridulme and Attorney Manuel S. Lofino regarding. They are from this. Attorney Ridulme is the President and CEO of National Power Corporation. And I have here a prepared letter. It shall be signed today. I'm reviewing it now. Regarding your visit to the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, we have to coordinate this so that they can prepare for the technical requirements for the visit regarding the lectures that are supposed to be there. And for Mapua, this is still tentative. We're still making the final arrangements. For Mapua, it's on 30 September 2022. So this year, we have to have this approved by the National Power Corporation. because they're the ones taking care of the administration of the Bataan nuclear power plant. But definitely, you'll be given a chance to visit and listen to more lectures there. Here's the paper.
Wow.
Thank you.
Sir. So tentative, it's September 30
For Mapua.
for Mapua. Ma'am Flor, narinig niyo po ba? Are they graduates by the time already?
Not yet, sir. It's still the first term.
Still the first
Yes,
term.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
O, wag niyo po muna sila pag-graduate eh.
Sige po, sir. Just so they can visit BNPP.
Yes. Thank you,
Thank you
sir,
very much po.
Thank you, Director Pecos, for that wonderful news. So, sino yung nagtanong? Kyle, mag-ready ka na ng baon natin.
Sama mo kami.
Sama mo kami dyan sa visit natin sa Mapua. Okay, so another question from Nicole. Nicole Maceda, in the Philippine context po, do you think in the near future po, the Filipinos will have a more positive or negative outlook towards nuclear energy? Po? Cecil? I think you can answer.
From my end lang, before Miss Mayat siguro, baka Miss Mayat would have another opinion. But from our end, as I mentioned earlier, we have had 4 other symposium from with various universities in the past years. So very positive yung response dun sa symposium, lalo-lalo na pagdating sa question and answer. After the symposium, yung faculty actually mas interesado pa than the students. And the students are very keen in pursuing careers in nuclear energy. Doon lang kasi nila parang namulat ba yung kanilang mga mata at diwa sa nuclear energy. And they're very excited. So I would see a trend towards a more positive outlook with regards to nuclear energy. Si Ms. Mayat may have another input. Thank you.
Yes, I believe, ma'am, that we will have a very positive outlook in the future, especially now that we are more for clean energy. We just have to educate the people that nuclear is clean and it is environmentally safe. So if we have that, and that we know also na that oil prices has been doubled since the first quarter of this month. This year, I mean, first quarter of this year, when the conflict broke out in Europe. So the more we need for other sources of energy other than oil or other than coal. Or since we are having other conflict also, we also import coal. 90% also is being imported for coal, and we are using that for as base load in our power generation. So pag nawala din yan, so there's risk then to be depending much on coal. Although we have our own sources of coal, but it is not enough since we are importing more than what we produce. Yun po. Thank you. And also to add, since we started the program in the previous administration, we also have surveys from our information campaign or public consultation before, and the outcome has been positive, and it continues until now. That more and more are becoming aware of nuclear power now. So we have a positive outlook for that.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. The reason why we are also doing this is to slowly change the stigma of nuclear energy. Pag nuclear, bomba agad ang nasa isip eh. But that is really not the case. There are a lot of um, positive benefits of nuclear energy. Thank you, Ma'am Maya. There is another question from Mr. Javril. I hope I pronounced his name right. Javril Young. Good day. What are your opinions regarding the potentially active volcano? Oh, there is a volcano near Bataan nuclear power plant. Will it affect the reopening of the plant? If there is a possibility of reopening, but in general, will it affect the plant? What is the name of the volcano? Sorry, hindi ako geography major. Anyways, would there be an effect, ma'am? Mamaya.
We have had already the, what is this, Mount Pinatubo, which is near the BNPP, and until now the BNPP infrastructure is intact. So, and also according to DOST, if there is a DOST that will be presenting tomorrow, it will be more clearer, because they have said that though that thing has been closed now, and it's been proven that there's no fault near the BNPP.
Thank you, ma'am. So somehow there will be comfort, parang sigh of relief na wala pala. So I hope that answers your questions, Mr. Young. Next, another question from Miss Hazel Abanilla. Good morning po. It was mentioned po that nuclear power plants come at a very high cost, putting it at a disadvantage. If it were to be implemented, will this impact other sources of energy in the Philippines in terms of the budget allocations? Will it be a positive or a negative impact? Thank you.
All the power plants, okay, let me have the pleasure to answer it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, all the technologies are, we can say that it is, they have all this capital cost. For nuclear, yes, it has a high capital cost, but when you get the levelized cost, considering the fuel cost, the resulting levelized cost will be lower compared to other clean energy sources. I'm saying that. And for now, there has been a discussion also regarding that, because the reason why the capital cost has been increasing because of the increased safety standards for the nuclear power. So the more you put added features to it for safety and standards, then the cost will go high. So capital cost. So of course we cannot compromise the safety. So then we have to hurdle those things, and we have to look at those things also. So since we are saying that we cannot only depend on the current technology that we are having now, because of the availability of the fuel, we have to weigh all those things. We have to weigh all those things, not only the cost, but also the environmental impact and other considerations that we have to look at. At first, when we are embarking also on the renewable energy like solar, the cost has been so high also, because although the capital cost is low, but it is intermittent. So the capacity factor of of renewable solar is 16% on the average for in the Philippines. So 16% of 1 megawatt in the whole year. Of course, kahit na ang mura ng kanyang capital cost, pagka sinuma mo yon, the levelized cost will go down. So ang taas din niya noon. But now, since they have done something din naman because of learning curve, yung tinasawag nila, learning curve for renewable energy. And for nuclear then, there is an international discussion to look at this cost also. Kasi kahit na, hindi naman natin sinasabing talagang mura si nuclear, pero compared siya sa clean energy, competitive siya. Competitive as compared to other clean energy source.
Thank you. Thank you, Mamayat. I hope Mel is satisfied. What is the name? Hazel. I hope Hazel is satisfied with the answer. Tomorrow, our distinguished guests are from the National Power Corporation and the Philippine Nuclear Research Institute. You might also want to ask the same questions to them, to ask their opinion. Maybe they have a different take or the same take with our speakers today. Here's another question from Mel Malinis. Good day po. I would like to ask, what do you think would be the major challenge of our country towards adopting nuclear energy? Yes, in any endeavor, there is always a challenge to face. For our speakers, what do you think would be the major challenge? Ma'am, Cecil? Ma'am, please unmute.
For HR part, specifically the HRTWG, I guess the supply of competent and really trained professionals, as well as yung technology support for the construction of the nuclear power plant. Plus, as raised earlier, the funding and financing, if it's costly. But since we have nuclear energy program interagency committee, I'm sure that will be taken care of.
Thank you, ma'am. Another inquiry from Mr. Cambio. Sean, with the mounting energy crisis in the Philippines, which is a more viable response po? So which one? Reviving the Bataan nuclear power plant or pushing for more renewable energy sources such as offshore and wind farms? Pinapipili tayo ni Sir. Which is more viable? Mamaya?
Actually, for the Department of Energy, we are already pushing for the renewable energy right now. And we see that we need more. Yes. So both. We can do both.
Why not do both? Yes.
Yeah.
Since both have their benefits.
Yeah.
Okay. Next from Mr. Chris Wilfred Estrada. In establishing more nuclear power plants and in choosing locations, will it still be on national position? And how long will it take for such decision? Kung national position pa ba? Definitely, di ba ma'am? And how long will it take? Do we have a timeline, Ma'am Maya?
Actually, if we can follow the same timeline that we have done before for the roadmap for nuclear power, because we have a new we have an incoming president, and if he adapts what has been started, madali na lang because meron na tayong national position. What we can do now, we will jump. We are done with the first phase. We are done with the studies, And now we are going to, from feasibility study, we will now go to feasibility study if the incoming president will adopt all that has been done by the Nuclear Energy Program Implementing Agency Committee. So, mag-phase 2 na tayo for our step towards nuclear power. And the timeline is within 2030. Yung doon sa ginawa before with the nuclear, with the NEPU. Timeline is within 2030.
Within 2030.
Pero,
Year 2030.
yeah. So, it depends actually dun sa ating political, sa politically.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Rael?
Yes, Ma'am Cecil.
Just to add, I agree with Ms. Mayet. So, bali, the challenge is with our legislators and, of course, our incoming president, whether or not he will support what has been initiated in the recent past, and whether we will pursue our actions towards this direction of adopting a nuclear power program for the Philippines. Right, Ms. Mayet?
Thank you, ma'am.
Agree, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question from Mr. Angelo. Good day po. About what percent of the Philippines' total energy production is the nuclear energy power plants targeting to occupy? How will this affect the price of the electricity in our country? And will it be lower, I think, or higher? I think this is or higher. So more, this is, I think, more of the energy mix, no, Mamaya?
Yes. So, we cannot see the impact yet kung 1,000 megawatt lang ilalagay natin sa ating system because for now, we have more than 26,000 gigawatt at 26,000 megawatt na in the sa buong Pilipinas. More than 26,000 gigawatt na yung ating available na capacity of our power, total capacity of our power plants. So that 1,000 megawatt is nothing. It's really nothing compared to what we have now. Before, yung 600 megawatt na BNPP has, kumbaga, malaki siyang tingnan dahil mababa pa noon yung ating capacity and demand noong 1986 na supposedly or 1985 supposedly it is ready to open na sana. Kaya lang kung ikukumpara mo ngayon, kulang yung 1,000 megawatt. But we cannot do it yung isang buhos naman na ilagay mo yung 1,000 kumbaga kung halimbawa lang na 10% ng 26,000 megawatt ilagay mo, hindi naman pwedeng ganun. Step by step. So hindi agad-agad makikita yung impact sa cost. Pag malaki-laki na yung capacity na ng nuclear na nasa sa grid natin, doon na makikita yung impact.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for the information, ma'am. Next, will it be cheaper and efficient to build a new NPP instead of reviving the existing Bataan NPP?
Actually, for me, it's not the question of cheaper or what. It is the question of should we really operate that BNPP? Should we decide to operate the BNPP? Yun ang pinaka-question. Kasi since location is already there and wala na tayong gagawin, so that is a lesser cost. Madali na lang kasi mayroon ng location. Pero ang question is, doon tayo yung risk of opening it kung hindi papayag yung stakeholders na i-operate mo nga. So, mangyayari ulit yung nangyari nung panahon ng ating president na noong 1985 President Marcos that it has been constructed, that it has been in place, but it was not operated. So mas mahal na mag-put up ka ng nuclear power plant na hindi lahat mag-agree na we will have it. So naging mas mahal sa atin dahil hindi natin siya na-operate. Yeah. So we have to deal with the risk first.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So far, I think I've asked all the questions. Baka meron pa kayong questions dyan, violent reaction, or any insight. Is there something you want to share while listening to our speakers and then listening to their questions, perhaps while you're in the comfort of your home, or maybe you're in a coffee shop listening, meron kang naisip na sumagi sa isip mo about our topic for today. Is there anyone from our participants who would like to say final words for today? Ayaw nyo, pipili talaga ako dyan. So, pakawain ako ng mga to. I-bash ako nila. Siguro, kung merong sound. Siguro I can ask one of those who've asked questions, maybe they can comment or say something. Can I please ask Mr. Angelo? Sir, are you there? Patuto. Smart.
Hello po, sir. Yes po.
Yes, Angelo. Kumusta, sir? So far?
Okay naman po, sir. Positive naman po yung naging experience ko dun po sa webinar natin. And marami na, yung pong tanong ko kanina, nasagot din naman po. And yung pong mga tanong dito, actually, medyo parang tanong din po to sa isip ko. And I was very thankful po na nalinawan naman po ako doon sa mga naging, kumbaga po, yung mga tanong po sa isip ko. And I was very thankful po sa mga naging speakers po natin. Thank you very much po. Napakarami po ninyong information and knowledge po na na-share sa amin. And we're very thankful po for sa pag-invite po sa amin na makinig po sa inyo pong talk. Yun lang po. Thank you very much po.
Thank you, Angelo. Are you with the nuclear track, sir?
Ay, hindi po, sir. Ang track ko po is petrochemical po. Petroleum, po.
And after this, you're going to the nuclear track, right? The joke.
Yes, sir.
Yes, siya.
Yes, po, sir. Medyo pinag-iisipan ko rin po kasi bago po kumuha ng electives kung nuclear po ba or sa petroleum po.
We also have that part in the DOE. You might also want to consider. Thank you, Angelo, for your insights.
Thank you po, sir.
Can I also have, let's see, Pauline Makapagal. Miss Pauline, are you there?
Yes po, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Pauline. So far, so good, Pauline?
Yes po, sir. Okay naman po.
Oo. And are you also with the nuclear track?
No po, sir. Like Mr. Patuto, nasa Petrochem din po.
And like Mr. Patuto, you will also go to the nuclear track after the symposium.
Maybe po, sir.
Wow, maybe. So ma'am, so far, what has been your takeaway for today's symposium after having heard the first session and the second session and then the question and answer? Meron bang mga naglalaro sa isip mo, Pauline? Maliban sa lunchtime na?
Ganon din po, sir. Yung mga questions din po na natanong ng mga nag-ask ay din po. Nagsumagi din po siya sa isip ko about dun sa PNPP and na-address naman po ng mga speakers na nag-answer ng mga questions na yon. And thank you rin po sa pag-invite dito sa amin sa webinar na to, sir.
Yes, yes. And actually, kami yung dapat rin mag-thank you sa inyo for joining, for being part of the virtual symposium. I'm sure maraming kayong mga outputs na kailangan sa school. Alam niyo naman yung mga professor natin, di ba? Ang daming pinagagawa. But still, you took time to join the virtual symposium. I can see the hand of Miss... Thank you, Pauline. Thank you so much for responding. I can see the hand of Mr. Ron Dayap. Sir, please, you have the floor.
Hello, good morning. I just
Morning,
want to
sir.
give my insights. I truly enjoyed the webinar today. It is because I was able to get a glimpse on a different aspect of energy that I was not able to be accessed in normal internet information. That is because to share one of my group's plant design projects was all about bioethanol production. So we were asked to design from scratch a personal a plant production plan for energy, and I referred to different resources from the Department of Energy itself, specifically the Outlook from 2018 to 2014, where I got most of my data from. And since the topic brought up again the outlook from the energy, and there I saw a connection between how energy is interrelated between the resources that we have today from renewable and non-renewable resources, and the option of how nuclear energy could possibly truly could impact and further appreciate the fact that the energy can be a transition from how we have been producing it traditionally to a new, modern, and more efficient and cleaner way on how we see energy today, and its effects on not only the community aspect but also environmental and political aspect as well.
Thank you, Ron, for that deep insight. Coming from students, future engineers, ay kailangan po kayo ng Pilipinas. I hope. Thank you for that. Thank you because you've enjoyed today's talk and everything. Tomorrow, hindi pa po tayo tapos today. Tomorrow, we have more exciting talks, more technical talks, because our speakers are geologists and lawyers and engineers from distinguished companies. So we look forward to see you again tomorrow, and if you have questions habang natutulog kayo, habang kumakain or nag-shower, meron kang biglang naisip, then tomorrow is the time for you to ask. And looking also forward to more interaction with you. So hindi pa po tayo natatapos today. We'll just park for the meantime, and tomorrow we will resume our session. Okay, thank you for the interaction. Of course, we would like to thank our speakers, our guest speakers. Mamaya, thank you. Alam ko marami kang work dyan sa taas, but you took time for this. Ma'am Cecil. Yes, also to our officials who took their time to be here. Of course, our Yusek Ergiza, and our Director Alvinido. To the Mapua community, Ma'am Flor, salamat po sa inyo.
Yes.
Ma'am Flor.
Salamat din po.
And to all our participants, thank you. It doesn't end here today. Tomorrow, we will still have another virtual symposium. I will send a link again to all of your email addresses, and we hope to see you tomorrow again. So thank you. To everyone, until tomorrow. Okay? Have a nice Tuesday, everyone. Ma'am Flor, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Israel.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Mayet.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Ma'am Bing, you are raising your hand. You have a comment?
Yes, there is a question from FB.
Oh, meron pala tayong FB.
Yes, that is why I'm raising my hand. Okay. So the question is, can I still raise this?
Sige po.
Okay. So from Heo Tiao Lin, The BNPP-1 was ready to operate in 1986, was mothballed due to political radiation. Subsequently, the power crisis followed, enriching the power oligarchs selling fuel, fed generators, and the like. Moving forward, today, 36 years after, there is the question of viability. Ms. Mayet?
Thank you. Thank you, Ma'am Bing.
Thank you for that question. Yeah, viability for what? So viability of nuclear, is that what you're saying? Of course, nuclear anywhere in the world, it is viable. Only that we have to look at our, but the impact will be different in different countries. So it is, we are not looking, since this is a democratic country, we do not just decide on things that the people will not agree on. So we are seeing that. So we technically nuclear is viable, but other issues that we have to look at and the risks that we have to deal with. We are slowly stepping into those things, and we have done our first step now. We now have the national. We have our president has adopted a national position, and we have done a lot of studies regarding the nuclear power and everything for the energy mix. Yes, there is an energy planning study that has been done. Should it be viable for the energy mix? There is a study for that. And for other sites, there are available sites that has been studied for nuclear power, not only in BNPP. And the question if is it still viable that we can operate to operate the BNPP? That is the question that we have no answer yet for that because it is in process. The study is in process. No no conclusive statement that we can issue for that yet because it is the nuclear energy program implementing agency committee that will have to declare from the study that they have done if the NTP is still viable to operate or not. This is a technical thing. So there are relevant agencies that are looking at that. We have the DOST who is with the committee. For citing, of course, both for citing and for fuel issues or what, and for regulations, and we have the DOST for the FIBOX. FIBOX is under the DOST, who is part of the committee as well, and the DOE as chair for the as chair of the committee, and all other related agencies that are part of the committee to look at those things. So hindi lang si DOE ang magde-decide kung talagang go na for CBNPP kasi yung pinaka tinitingnan dito kung go na talaga for BNPP. And we are looking at positive now. Positive for our incoming president, and hopefully for the people, yung mga tao din maging positive din sila.
Okay.
And for nuclear, I think there's no problem whether kumbaga in general, positive si nuclear sa karamihan ng mga respondents na survey na noon. And even with the energy sa DOE, there's no problem with that. That's why we are doing our study, because hindi lang yung what we have now ang dapat nating tignan, kundi we have to look at other sources of energy to support our demand. Kasi growing talaga, even the population is growing, and also to support the economy. The economy is growing, and we are seeing a positive growth with the incoming president, the more na kailangan natin ng energy. And he said, gusto niya, affordable energy. Yun.
Thank you. Thank you, Ma'am Mayet.
You're welcome.
Ma'am Salve, do we still have other questions from Facebook Live? No more questions from Facebook Live. So I think wala na makapipigil pang mag-lunch tayong lahat, di ba po? So again, thank you. Thank you everyone, to our participants. Ma'am Flor, thank you. Hindi ako ubus ng pasalamat kay Ma'am Flor for coordinating. And of course, Ma'am Maya, thank you. And to our DOE team, thank you. So tomorrow, we will see you tomorrow again, 9:30 a.m. Okay? So that's it. That ends our first part of our virtual symposium on nuclear energy. Thank you so much for attending. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you. Thank you everyone.